Rev up your engines!
Well, Ford, where quality is obviously not job number one, they're recalling 2.9 million cars because they might roll away. Turns out they didn't make the shifter linkages right. Plastic bushing can come off. You think you're in park, but you're really in reverse or neutral, in which case the car can roll away if it's on a hill. The way transmissions work is when you put them in park, there's a thing called the parking prod, and it grabs the flywheel and locks it in place in most cars. But however it works on any particular car, it locks it so the wheels can't spin anymore, right? You whip it into park and then take off, walk away, you might see your car rolling down a hill. So now they got to fix all these bushings because they put in cheap bushings. To me, this shows me Ford hasn't learned anything in 52 years, because I had a Ford Maverick and the shifting linkage on that kept breaking all the time. I bought the car used. Now I only paid $550 for it, right? And when I was driving it to my father's garage to put it on a lift to check it out, my friend Mark was with me. It wouldn't shift, and I'm like, oh, I can crawl under all the shifting linkage. So I put a piece of wire to hold it on. He said, what, you gotta buy this car now after that? I said, what the heck? There's just a plastic shifter linkage. I'll buy some, right? So I owned that car for like 10 more years. I had a pack of shifter bushings in the trunk. They would last maybe a year, year and a half, and they'd break. So I just had a pack of them. Whenever they break, I'd go crawl under there, snap a new one on, and away I went. But that was 52 years ago. They still can't make them right. Have they learned anything in 52 years? I guess they haven't. Now, if you're worried, put the car in park. Put the emergency brake on nice and tight so it'll stop anyways. I do that anyways, just as a safety precaution, but if you don't do it, then it won't roll away. And if you're curious about what vehicles it covers, 2013 to 2019 Escapes, 2013 to 2018 C-Max, 2013 to 2016 Fusion, 2013 to 21 Transits, and 2015 to 2018 Ford Edges. Like I say, just make sure you put your emergency brake on before you walk away from the car so it doesn't go rolling down the hill. I just can't believe it, 52 years later, they still haven't figured out how to make shifter bushings. What do they say? The more things change, the more they stay the same. I guess that's the truth with cars. Ford, obviously. If you follow electric car news at all, you know that Tesla's swapping their battery style from their older style to a newer style. And why are they doing it? They're doing it because it's cheaper to make them. They're not as good batteries. Listen to this data and you can decide for yourself. The old Tesla batteries have a flammability point of 350 degrees Fahrenheit, but the new cells have a flammability temperature of just 150 to 180 degrees due to the higher energy density of the cells. The initial battery pack required 7 hours to assemble, and the new battery pack takes only 17 minutes to assemble it. It's cheaper to build, but it's flammable. The other one was 350 before it started on fire. The new one's less than half of that temperature-wise, right? Now they say, well, we've improved the cooling of it so you don't have to. Hey, you got something that's inherently more dangerous that can start on fire at a lower temperature like that. You're just asking for trouble. What happens when the cooling system stops working? Boof, up in flames. Now, of course, they say, well, we got software to stop that. Well, you see a lot of them are going up in flames, and you're going to trust their software. They're always having to update the software because it's always wrong. Not a good idea. Just because it's cheaper to make them, the new ones. They're more flammable, though. I think I'd go for the safety versus cheaper to make, which of course is hilarious because they're cheaper to make. But Tesla, they keep raising the prices of their cars. Making the batteries cheaper, but let's raise the price of the car anyways. They're not passing the savings on, but yes, they're passing the danger on. Battery cells that can start on fire at half the temperature of the other ones. Bravo 87 says, I got a Suburban with tranny noise. I got an 08 Suburban. Replace the transmission. I know the guy wasn't tightening bolt right, so now it's making a loud noise, and I think fourth gear is done. 3,000 RPM, doing 80 kilometers an hour. It won't shift into fourth. What could be making the noise? You didn't give me all the information, so I'm going to have to guess on this. I'm assuming you put in a used transmission. And if you did, it's crap. It's no good. It won't shift gears and stuff like that, and it's making noise. Unless the guy was an absolute idiot. When you put the transmission in, you got to bolt the torque converter on. You got to tighten all the nuts on it using a torque wrench so they're just right and not warped. He kind of warped the flex plate or something like that. You could have another guy. You might just go to another transmission guy and say, look, this guy put this in. I think he screwed up. Check the torque. And then they could check all the torque on the torque converter nuts. Maybe they aren't right. Maybe you're real lucky. If you put in a used transmission or a, in quotes, rebuilt transmission, you're gambling shaking those dice and throwing them out if you're buying a used transmission on a Suburban that is 15 years old, because it's going to have to be pretty close to a 15-year-old transmission, right? And if you get a rebuilt one, realize that something like 1/3 of the automatic transmissions that are rebuilt for American cars aren't rebuilt correctly and have to be done again. So I don't know why you got rid of your first transmission. It was completely shot or whatever, but you got screwed over on this deal. Start by going to a good mechanic like me. Have them check the bolts on the torque converter. Maybe they don't have to pull it off. There's an inspection plate. They can spin it around, tighten them all, make sure they're all right. Pray he just didn't get it on tight enough. But if he did, you just got a crappy transmission, which happens all the time if you use junkyard or remanufactured. Tiago Shade says, I had metal shavings in the oil in my 2017 Mazda 6. I bought it used. I do oil changes. I found a few metal shavings, put in new oil, and the next time we changed at the dealer, they said they found some. Now, the next 2 oil changes, we didn't find anything, and the lab that checked the oil said the engine oil was healthy. What do you think I should do? Well, if it's not making any noises and it's running okay, just keep changing the oil. Should never have metal anything in there, right? It means something's worn. Maybe it's something that isn't all that important. Now, there's nothing you could do anyways other than change the oil. If it's making noises, you're going to have to take it apart and fix it. If it isn't, just keep driving it, and when it does break down at some point in time, then you got to deal with rebuilding the engine, which hardly anybody does anymore, putting in a used engine or trying to remanufacture the engine, which costs thousands of dollars. Now, you did a good thing. You did an oil analysis the last time, and they say it's good. That means there's no metal in the oil. Hopefully it was just some stupid thing. Maybe when they built the engine, they left a little washer or something, and then finally it got shredded and then pieces came out. Pray that's what it was. There's nothing else you can do if it runs okay and doesn't make any noises. And if you did want to do something, you'd have to tear the whole engine apart, which costs a fortune anyway. So let's hope the next time you get the oil analysis done, it's perfect too, and then whatever metal was in there is broken up and gone, and it didn't hurt anything. Joe H. Plum says, my wheel was knocked off. How do I fix my suspension? I got an 03 Tundra, 170,000 miles. A lift driver sideswiped me, and the front driver tire has been knocked off the lower control arm. Can I just replace the bolts? Will I need new suspension? Hopefully the lift driver had insurance. Take it to a guy like me, have a pro fix it. You don't know any idea what's wrong with that vehicle. If it did enough to snap the bolts off, odds are the control arms have been bent too. And if it's bent, it might only be bent by a few thousandths of an inch. You can't see it looking at it. It takes a mechanic with a front end machine to measure it and say, okay, that's too far off. That's a few thousandths of an inch bent. We're going to have to change the lower control arm. Say the guy doesn't have any insurance. You're paying out of your pocket. My advice would be go to a salvage yard, buy a used lower control arm, and bolt that on for your other one with new bolts. There's plenty of cars in junkyards, parts that are still good, that rather than spending a fortune at Toyota, you could get a used unit. Find one that was rear-ended and the front's okay, and then have them sell you the control arm from the front. There's so much damage that can get done, though, that you can't tell it with your naked eyes. Even I can't with my naked eyes. You got to get front-end alignment equipment. The modern ones use lasers that measure within, half a thousandth of an inch, so they can tell you if something's bent or not bent. And then when you're done, you're going to have to realign it anyway, so you're going to have to take it to a mechanic to realign it. But if you're a riverboat gambler, put new bolts on, take it on the road, see if it shakes or shimmies or pulls, doesn't make any weird noises. Maybe you got lucky. Rigo says, should I buy a Nissan Cube? Girlfriend says it's ugly, but I heard it's a gas saver. What do you think? All right. Well, I'm not a Nissan fan. Okay vehicles, not great, but they're okay. I agree with the girlfriend. I think they're the ugliest things on earth. Now, the newer ones aren't quite as ugly because they're smoothing them out. They're not as cubey. They're okay. I would not buy one, save 150,000 miles on it. If you don't mind it, you get a good price, they get good gas mileage, yeah. But of course, you're much better getting a Toyota or a Honda. They're much better made vehicles. Now, if you can get the Cube for, a ton less than a Toyota or Honda, it's worthwhile. But if you're talking about the same money, forget that. Go out and get a Toyota or Honda. They'll last 2 to 3 times or 4 times or 5 times as long as a Nissan will. Zano Bong says, do pickup trucks have more tougher suspension over potholes and bumpers than a car? My 2014 Camry shakes over them. I'm considering a 4Runner, as my roads have plenty of potholes. Next. That is a body on frame. That vehicle has an actual steel frame, which is extremely strong, which can take it more. The Camry, on the other hand, is unibody construction, and yes, They can't take bumps that well. Things will actually bend if you hit a big enough bump. Now, a frame is made out of solid steel. It's pretty hard to bend. Unibody cars, they have unibody, in quote, frames, but the steel is much thinner, things can bend, and yes, the trucks are much stronger, plus they're taller up in the air, you're not going to bottom out. There's a lot of reasons if you live in a crappy area to get a truck. If it floods, you can go through the flood water because it's higher up in the air, you know, there's mud and stuff, you got a better chance of making it through than with a car, and you're not going to break as easily because it's got a solid steel frame instead of thinner steel unibody construction. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.